Okay, welcome everybody to our council meeting, February 9th, 2026. And we will move to begin with approving the agenda. Before we do, I'll acknowledge each member of council's been provided with a ribbon today, as we're acknowledging February is African Heritage Month. And I believe that we understand the theme is strength and unity, moving forward with purpose, prosperity, power, and progress. So we've recognized and honored the over 400 years of African presence in Nova Scotia and celebrate African heritage in our community. And with that, we'll look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So move, Your Worship.
Second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Item 2 is the approval of the minutes. We had a chance to look at the minutes. A motion to accept the minutes.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as written.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune.
Second that, Your Worship.
Second, Councillor Rice. Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Business arising from the minutes. Have we any business arising from the minutes? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 4, presentation. We have a presentation from Property Valuation Services Corporations. It's going to be a virtual presentation, and I believe it's by Paul Beasley, accompanied by Steve Howlick and Patrick Mitchell.
Okay, you guys are good to go.
All right, you can see this and hear us well?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and Alana, will I be sharing my screen, or do you have something up there? I can't see your screen at all. Can't see yourself or any participants other than myself, Steve.
The angle's a bit funky, so if you have a presentation to share, that's excellent.
Okay, I'll bring it up on my screen. You let me know if everything looks okay there. Can you see the 2026 assessment rule presentation?
Yes, we can.
All right, very good. So we'll get started. Thank you, Your Worship and the Council, for having us here this evening. Always a pleasure to come speak to you about the assessment role. I think it's been a few years. I think I know there's some familiar faces there that I've met in the sort of around the conference circuit and that type of thing. So, but I'm Paul Beasley, and like I said, about 3 years ago when we last presented, and I've been with PDSC for about 10 years. I'm the municipal account manager. I was an appraiser before coming to PDSC. I also we have Steve Howley and Patrick Mitchell here with us. So they are folks that actually work in your area. And if you have questions about assessment and how it's done and you know what happens out there, then Steve and Patrick are the ones to ask for sure. And Steve, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Paul. On behalf of PDC, thanks for the invite. We're very happy to be here. I'm Steve Howley, I'm the assistant director here with PDSC. I've been in the assessment role for about 28 years, 26 years as assessor, and the past couple of years as assistant director. And again, thanks for having us, and I'll hand it over to Patrick.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, my name's Patrick Mitchell. I've been with PDSC for 3 years now, and about 7 years experience in the fee appraisal side before that. I'm an assessor on the commercial team here, and experience on a wide variety of properties. And I'm based out of Truro, so I'm not too far from you folks. Thanks again for having us here, and look forward to the discussion.
So I'm going to roll through the slides that we have fairly quickly. I'll turn it over to Steve a little bit later, but this may be a refresher for some of you. I don't know how many of you were here last time we went through some of these, but I'll go through them quickly in the essence of time. And if you have any questions, I don't mind if you stop along the way, or if we stop along the way, but also at the end, I think there's time for some Q&A. So we'll get started here now. So about PDSC, we're created under the Property Valuation Service Corporation Act, and we're responsible for assessing all the property across Nova Scotia. Some 650,000 properties across Nova Scotia. You may have read recently, about a month ago, we put out our media release about the 2026 assessment roll, and it spoke about, I'm hearing some background noise there, or maybe not. Anyways, it spoke about, for the first time in Nova Scotia, the assessment roll going over 200 billion, and it also talked, I heard several media outlets talking about that being driven by HRM, and which is usually the case, but really this year was a little bit different. HRM was half the story, and that the commercial file certainly was driven by HRM. But on the residential side, outside of HRM, seemed to have picked up the pace, and the growth out there was a little bit higher. And in your particular area, up in the northeast of Nova Scotia, the residential assessments actually increased by about 9.5%, where HRM was up about 7.5%. So I kind of attribute that to the ripple effect from the post-pandemic affordability crisis, and also people looking for places to actually find to live and that type of thing. So, like I say, we deliver the roll to all 49 municipalities and all the properties across the province. We're municipally funded, we're not-for-profit, and we're governed by a board of directors. We usually have 11 or 12 board of directors, typically comprised of some independent, outside private sector professionals, some municipal staffers or those with municipal experience, and also we have elected municipal officials such as yourself. Joe Feeney is our chair from Mahone Bay. He's the deputy mayor down there. And we have about 135 employees working across the province, Steve, Patrick, and myself, of course, included. And we live and work in 60 communities across the province. What we do and what we don't do, we deliver the assessment roll to all the municipalities. We administer the CAP assessment program and the seasonal tourist business designation program on behalf of the province of Nova Scotia. It's provincial legislation, we administer it. PDSC does not, we do not have the authority to determine land ownership, that's the land registry. We don't set tax rates, we don't collect taxes, we don't create tax policy, and we don't provide tax relief. That's within your purview under the Municipal Government Act, and we don't get involved in any of that, we just do the assessments. So we are required under the Assessment Act to assess at market value, and market value basically being what a willing buyer would pay and what a willing seller would sell for, an independent arm's length transaction. And there's a couple of key dates that we look at under the Act. The base date, also referred to as the market value date, where actually our market values are 1 year retrospective, so essentially we're 1 year back. We kind of look backward at what sales actually occur, and then we bring those market trends forward to set the assessment roll. We also pick up data on the properties right up to December 1st, just before the market, or just before the assessment roll goes out. So the market valuation, market influence date, 1 year back, and then we bring in any permit data, any inspection data, anything like that. We'll bring that right up as close to the date of the assessment roll as we can. So we use three approaches to determining value. The sales comparison approach is by far the most common. That's typically for the majority of residential properties. Essentially, we look at sales. How do sales in the neighborhood compare which way is the market going, and then using mass appraisal, we adjust properties in the entire neighborhood based on those market movements. The income approach is a little different in that it looks at properties, or the income approach is used on those properties that typically transact in the market based on the income that they are producing. So essentially, we determine the income, we get that data from those businesses, or the majority of those businesses. We convert the net operating income to a market value. Things such as hotels, motels, things such as apartment buildings, things such as strip malls and office buildings where they're generating leasehold or lease income or rental incomes or that type of thing, converted into market value. Then for some of the more unique properties, or even the warehouse type properties or the larger box construction type properties, we use the cost approach, which is essentially we calculate the land value, and then the cost to replace the building, add them together, and then we deduct off any depreciation. So if it's an older building, not very well maintained, there's a great deal of depreciation on them. If it's a brand new building, typically much less depreciation. So sales data plays a big part in what we do. I indicated that we look at that sales data for the sales comparison approach. Even for some of our commercial properties, we look at whatever sales data is out there. We receive the sales data from the Nova Scotia Land Registry, when the title transfers. They provide us with all that information on the sale and that type of thing. So we determine if that sale is an arm's length, open market sales transaction. As I indicated, we have to evaluate market value. So we determine by contacting the buyer and the seller, or even looking at real estate listings or various other ways we do it, but we determine if that's a qualified sale for using in our sales analysis and in our data. So essentially we look at sales in homogeneous areas and sort of look at them together to determine what are houses of similar natures within neighborhoods, some homogeneous areas, how are they selling and what are they selling for, what way is the market moving. So, in the areas where we may not have enough sales, we may expand the geographic boundaries a little bit, just so, if there's a neighborhood just outside of the municipality that is similar in the way of transaction and selling, sales prices, as well as things such as the type of buildings that are there, types of residences, that type of thing. We'll use those, we'll expand it a little bit. Up until when the pandemic occurred, there was the sales were, there really weren't, a whole lot of sales. There were enough to do mass appraisal, certainly, but during that pandemic period and all the way through till now, sales have been certainly much more vigorous and active, and we have a lot more data that we use, and so typically we're running about 40,000 sales a year that we look at. Prior to the pandemic, it was probably about 30, 35, somewhere there. So we administer the cap assessment program, as I mentioned. Basically, that's a provincial program that was brought in right around 2000 or 2002, 2003. Essentially, it really got into full swing in 2007. There's still many properties in Nova Scotia that are on the base year value. At the base year, the base year for the cap is 2007. Many of the properties, and essentially. The cap determines or sets the amount that the taxable assessment for those eligible properties can increase year over year. They must be residential properties, and there are a number of criteria. And the cap, the amount that it can increase, is based on the Consumer Price Index in Nova Scotia, which the province advises us of every October, early November. So of note are the cap rates that are on the right-hand side. The 2026 cap rate, 2.6%, that was CPI for this particular assessment roll year. And you can look at the historic cap rates. You'll see in 2023 on the right there, That's sort of the peak of the pandemic, and CPI was at 7.7%. Typically, the 10 years leading up to the pandemic, CPI was about 1.5%. So looking at the, the box at the bottom, that's sort of typical what you might see for a residential property on an assessment notice. If you just received one now and you have a residence, you would have seen something like this. Of note, the assessed value of $226,000 in this example is the market value assessment. The adjusted cap assessment in this particular case is $114,000. And because the cap assessment is lower than the market value assessment, then the taxable assessment, or the taxable assessed value on the far right side, will be the lower of the two. So for the municipality, what they tax the property owner is based on that taxable assessed value. In this case, it's the cap assessed value. So looking at some of the numbers for your assessment roll this year, I'll focus mainly on the 2026 column there on the left-hand side. So your total assessment roll was a little over $514 million. If we peel back the layers of the onion on that a little bit, you'll see total residential makes up $361 million, and at the bottom, commercial makes up $153 million. So the figure that's in the adjusted total residential with cap applied, that $260 million, essentially represents the residential file or the residential accounts adjusted for the cap. So the cap adjustments year over year over year over year, and it's created a bit of a differential there. So you've got about $100 million less in taxable residential than what you would have for market residential. So the cap does really impinge upon that market value, or that market value number quite considerably. But going across the top, I just wanted to sort of bring to your attention that over the past 5 years, your total roll went from $341 million up to $514 million, which is about a 50% lift over those 5 years through that pandemic period. Now, residential itself, which is the next line down over those 5-year period, was about 74% increase in just the residential side. Commercial usually ticks along a little bit with less increase. So that residential was up very significantly, 74%. And then if you look at that adjusted residential with cap, it was only up about 33%, and that's the impact of CPI versus the market percentage increase every year. So I'm going to pass it over to Steve. He's going to talk to you about a few numbers here, or some graphics, and take us to the end.
Thanks, Paul. So this graph here is basically the number of qualified sales used in the reassessment analysis. The 2026 assessments are evidence-based. So we were only using qualified sales in the 2024 calendar year. And this kind of, when I say qualified, it's not using sales such as, tax sales, family sales, foreclosures, and things. So doing sales that we deem as good sales. As you can see, since the pandemic or post-pandemic, things have been kind of gradually going down. So 23 we had about 124 sales, down to 81, 61, and 26 down to 62. So it's kind of level out, going back kind of what it was pre-pandemic too, kind of thing. So yeah, so that's it. Next one.
We'll have you on the button, Steve.
Oh, there we go. All right. So our next graph just kind of shows our permits received. Again, kind of post-pandemic, we kind of seen it kind of spike up to 38.41 there, and then kind of drop back down again for 25. New market growth was actually, I think it was 1.4% this year, and for commercial, negative 0.2%. So things are definitely slowing down, but the market side of things are still going up and things like that there. So the permits are definitely, a little bit lower, kind of coming down back to where they used to be, kind of pre-pandemic. Thanks, Paul. Next one's a kind of graph that shows our appeals received. So with the pandemic and assessments and market everything going up, we see a steady kind of an increase. The direct opposite of what everything else is saying, and that's as a result of market values and things going up. 39 and 23, 24, we're looking at 43, and 25, about 46. Now, based on appeals, we're looking at, we retain, I think, the value of these here appeals at about 99.83, so not a big drop of things in appeals. Dispassionate 25, we looked at about 72% confirmed withdrawal rate on appeals, adjusted about 22%, and outstanding, I think we might have about 6% outstanding too that still didn't be done, but it's definitely, when we're looking at things market going up, it's going to generate more appeals a lot of times, so yeah, our prospects. Each property owner receives, and this is just kind of the appeal process. Now, each property owner receives a notice assessment, which indicates the assessed value of the property. This is just kind of almost what your notice would look like, the kind of the box kind of that everybody receives. As Paul kind of talked to already, the first one is your assessed value, the 226.8. The second one shows the 114.5, which is, as far as which one it uses, is the lower of the two, the 114.5, or to the far right is what you'd be looking at. Now, something just to bring up too with constituents and things like that, there's a lot of times that market value, 226.8, would have to, like, for someone who wants to appeal, kind of thing like this, and actually get an adjustment on their taxes, you'd have to reduce that market value assessment by almost 112,300 under that assessed cap rate, just to even impact taxes. So it's a little something for you to have in your back pocket, maybe when talking with constituents and things like that there. It's, it would have to take a very large reduction of value to kind of go down below that cap rate to even impact taxes sometimes. So, should a property owner disagree with their assessed value, classification on it, then they file an appeal. The 2026 assessment appeals must be received by February the 12th, 2026, and instructions on how to file an appeal are included with the assessment notice. There are 3 levels of appeal. Okay, so the first one, the PVSC, the initial assessor review, in which the assessor may adjust or confirm the value. If the ratepayer doesn't agree, they would have a 14-day turnaround time to kind of send a notice back in and say they wish to go to the next level, which would be NSA, or the Nova Scotia Assessment Appeal Tribunal, which, that's your next step, the Nova Scotia Appeal Tribunal. This is where kind of both sides will present the evidence basically to the tribunal member. We'll make a decision based on the market evidence provided. After that step, we kind of have what we call the Nova Scotia Appeal Review Board, is now called the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board. If they're not happy with the NSAP decision, can appeal there. And that'll be the kind of the final step, and they make a decision on what they feel there. So, contact information. If you receive many property owner questions and concerns, may be best by resolved by a call to PVSC for our team. So we encourage everyone to, your constituents and different people to call us. If you're thinking about appeal. I know there's that thing. A lot of people are afraid if you may go up or whatever it might be. That's not what we're here for. We're here to talk to people, and look at the value, we'll discuss it, and if we think you should appeal, we'll tell you that. If you don't think, we'll tell you that also. So we always encourage everybody to give us a call. We'll have that conversation first before you actually submit the appeal. We have knowledgeable and extra staff who are ready to assist. If you receive, like you said, questions from your constituents about property assessment, please direct them or call us. Emails or contact us. Our phone numbers there. Inquire PVSC is our email. PVSC.ca is our website. Just a note, during the 25 appeal period, we responded to about 10,000 inquiries by phone and email. The average wait time before speaking with a PVSC staff person was about 16 seconds. So even if people want to call in, there's going to be no big wait times. I don't we should be able to get them pretty quickly. So it's, yeah. Let's, Paul, let's sit for our presentation.
Thank you very much, and yeah, we'll open it up to questions I will say that we have all hands on deck during this appeal period, right up to the end of this week, essentially, 5 days a week. So we do encourage people to call us first and ask us any questions they have. So if you have a constituent that has stopped you in the corner store or on the street or whatever, then certainly have them give us a call. The 1-800 number's there, so sure. And Your Worship, we'll open it up for questions.
Okay, thanks very much. We appreciate it. Certainly timely. And as you say, you haven't, I guess, visited us for a few years, maybe 3 years, so appreciate the presentation very much. Have we got any questions from the floor? Not hearing any, guys, but I'll hit you with a couple. I can usually drum up at least one or two. So I'll ask you, one's for clarity, the other's more of a question. But the clarity is you opened up with some comparative information, Stellarton versus HRM, and I think it was, just correct me if I'm mistaken, but the assessed increases, we realized 9.5% versus was it 7.5%? So that's Stellarton versus HRM year over year, or did I get that correct?
Not quite, but pretty close, Your Worship. 9.4% for or 9.5% for the northeast sector of Nova Scotia. Stellarton itself was 8%. That was the lift on your residential, and on your commercial, the commercial lift was 1.2, but your taxable commercial was up 3.2%. So, and that's probably pretty typical pre-pandemic and now into the post-pandemic as well.
Okay, and the HRM comparison?
HRM was 7.5%.
Okay, we had that.
That's residential. They were up a little higher on the commercial side.
Okay, thank you. The other question, when you're dealing with the different ways, the three methods of determining the value, the income approach, is that information voluntary and part of the businesses or the commercial property owners?
Patrick? I know Patrick works right in that area as a commercial assessor.
Yeah, so it's part of our RFI process, essentially. Every year, any property that we have flagged as an income-producing asset or, in the past was, or based on sales investigations has been discovered that it is, apartments, hotels, retail. We send an RFI out, and then that information up to the owner of the management co. They provide that information back to us. I think the return rate's maybe 30%. So we take that information and the reassessment is based on that. If you don't provide your income and expense information back to us, then essentially you lose the right to appeal.
Okay, appreciate that clarity. Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry. I cut you short. Any questions? Okay, I guess that's it from us. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Council, and a pleasure to be here, and maybe we'll see you again next year.
Great, thank you.
All right. We'll see you here.
Okay, that's it for presentations. We are on to item 5, which are reports from staff for January. First up is the chief's report from police.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just some high-level points from the Stellarton Police Service report leading up to the end of January 31st. Calls for service for January totaled 210 compared to 2024 calls, which totaled 235. And highlights for events, Chief Hoback, Acting Sergeant Holland, and Constable Vandergrift read stories to the kids at G.R. Saunders during Literacy Week.
Thank you, CAO Grover. Our next, motion to accept the report. We'll get it on the floor first and then go for questions.
So move, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Pence. Seconded.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Any questions, comments around the report? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The second report is from Chief Michael Sullivan, Stellarton Fire Department.
Good evening, Your Worship, CAO Grover, and councilors. During the month of January, the fire department responded to 10 calls. Four were alarm calls. One was for propane odor. One was for an MVA. Two were medical emergencies. One was an assistance to police, and one other one was for a mutual aid call. On average, 9 members attended each call, with the exception of mutual aid and the medical calls. Practices were held weekly with an average of 10 members participating. Recent examples of things that we did for practice would be a guided tour of a local business and cutting a hole in the ice. This would be at the town works reservoir, and practicing ice rescue. And individual crews have completed hall cleanup each weekend, as well as equipment checks to make sure everything's ready for service. That's our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Could I get a motion to accept the report?
Move to approve the report as written, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Rice.
Seconded.
Councillor Fortune, thank you. Any discussion around the report? Questions? Hearing none. Thank you. Chief, all in favor? Contrary? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Paige Draper with the Marketing and Communications report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My report has been submitted. I have no changes or additions, but I did just want to provide a point of clarity surrounding Playfinder. That has not launched yet. The training was to get everything set up and ready to go for when it is time to launch. So they're still working out some kinks, and we're kind of in the testing phase of getting everything set up. If we find any errors or have any problems, this is the time that we are to let the administrative team know, and they would get those things fixed up. So just a point of clarity on that one.
Great, thank you, Paige.
I'll move the report as written, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Pence. Seconded.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell.
Yes, Your Worship. Is there any more on the website update page?
So I met with, the gentleman's name is Les Coleman. He is the one who does the website venture with, it's A-Man's. So I met with him last week just to kind of discuss what that looks like, you know, kind of what our goals are. So we're really in like the initial stages of developing the new design or what that looks like. So I'll be working with him moving forward just to kind of pick and choose what we like, what we want to change, if there are other websites that we like aspects of, and implementing those. But generally speaking, our website has served its purpose. The only reason that are even in this position is because the platform that we use is 3 like generations out of date.
Okay.
And it'll become obsolete soon.
Thank you, Paige.
I'll ask about the quality of life survey. So there's discussion about there being a survey being launched soon. Is that, how frequently does that occur? Is that every few years, every year, or have we done it before?
That's something that I'm not sure of, but I can certainly get the information for you.
Okay, so it's new to us anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's been done before, but I can't speak to the
I can speak to the fact that it's only been issued to a residence once before a number of years ago. This isn't a common occurrence, so
Okay.
just another chance of engaging with residents and finding out how their quality of life and how that can support council's decisions moving forward.
Okay, no, thank you. It's helpful. I'm interested, right? It's it'll be a neat one to get to read the feedback on and then compare it to where we were, whatever that last time was that we took the gauge. But interesting. Nobody here remembers it? Gary, no. Anything else, folks? Any questions for Paige? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Thank you, Paige. Next is Blaine Murray, Town Engineer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have my reports as submitted. Is there any questions as such?
I'll move the engineering report.
Thank you, Councillor Pence. Seconded.
Seconded.
I think that was seconded. Councillor Fortune? Okay, discussion. Any questions for Blaine?
Yes, I do. Blaine, I noticed in your report you had, we got quite a project coming up on Bridge Avenue. I find it quite interesting to see the sanitary sewer dates back to 1915 and 1916. I would say, without a doubt, that area of town, Your Worship and Council, certainly needs the work done.
Sure you can wring a little more life out of that system?
And I also noticed that's going to be quite a big operation. Is that going to take 2 seasons, Blaine?
Yeah, so the project, I just want to state it is it's Bridge Avenue from Ford Street to Pleasant Street. It was identified in our asset management program. There's multiple assets on that street that are starting to deteriorate, and as you just mentioned, the sewer's back to the early 1900s. I think the last year payment was 95.
There's areas that the water...
Water is 100 years old, and now from Ford Street to Rundle
is
1990, so we wouldn't replace that section. But from there on up, we replace the water, so yeah. And yes, it will be done in 2 phases, just because of the length and complexity around G.R. Saunders as well, too, so... I would recommend doing the first phase from Ford to Park Street as 1 phase, and then phase 2 would be from Park to Pleasant.
Right, and this will all be deliberated around budget time coming up soon. And was there any particular incident that triggered this area, or is it just the next up on the rating? Condition rating of
No real incidents to say. There was a sewer capacity issue there once, but we had I guess a torrential rainstorm back, I'm going to say 5 years ago or something like that. It was at capacity, but other than that, there's no particular, this is more of a progressive, trying to be more progressive here than wait until everything fails and try to replace it all at once, right? So just part of our asset management program.
Any questions? No. I'll ask you a question on the water treatment, Blaine. There's a 0.4 as to a new cleaning technology used or method. I wonder. So it's proved to be effective. Looks like we'll gain efficiencies, maybe stretch some more life out of our membranes. From what I read, was there an investment required to acquire that technology, or just something we're trying?
No, there's very little, just the chemicals itself, and very little cost of that. Just basically, we always did the hyperchlorite recovery cleans. It just basically removes all the organics from, if you think of the membranes, they're a bunch of tiny tubes. Basically, they suck all the water through and remove anything from it. Basically, everything stays behind it as you pull the water through. The hyperchlorite recovery clean removes all the organics from those tubes, but it doesn't remove metals that can build up around the tubes themselves. So this new Citric Clean, our water treatment plant manager there, he recommend doing these, and that'll remove all the metals, and we expect it'll prolong the life of those membranes.
Yes, it says here by 50%.
Yeah. Well, the pressure was the pressures in the vacuum, you could say, were reduced to by 50%. So no, not a 50%, extension. Yeah.
No, that all sounds good. We've come to be familiarized somewhat with the membranes. Great. Any other questions for Blaine? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Thanks, Blaine.
Thank you.
We are into item 6, correspondence. The first from Healthy Pictou County.
All right. So the first item under correspondence is the January 2026 Healthy Pictou County report. Just a few highlights, quick highlights from their report. They are preparing for the spring arrival of their newest general surgery recruit. They hosted their annual local student resident dinner in Halifax, continued support for student placements and connections, and coordinated welcome materials in partnership with Pictou County Partnership Team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Say Grover. We have another.
Yes. So the second item under correspondence, it is a letter from Municipality of the County of Antigonish, Warden Nicholas McGuinness, to the Honorable Tim Houston. This letter was copied to NSFM and all the municipalities in the province. At a recent meeting, just to summarize the letter, at a recent meeting of the Municipal Council, a discussion was put forward and a motion made to reach out to express concerns with respect to the general rate application filing for the 2026-27 customer rates by Nova Scotia Power, which are currently under review at the Nova Scotia Energy Board. They encourage the regulatory board and those that have the ability to have input in a decision on this application to consider whether there is a better way to distribute the proposed rate increases.
Great, thank you. That's it for correspondence.
Your Worship, I have just a quick
Yes.
annotation here. I didn't realize this initially on the, it's just a typo in tonight's agenda for the correspondence for Healthy Pictou County. It says report for January 2025.
Okay, just thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Rice. We will move to item 7 as the Committee of the Whole report.
The following recommendations are for Council's consideration from the Committee of the Whole meeting held on February 2nd, 2026. On recommendation of Committee of the Whole, Council approved the request received from Pictou County Highland Dance Association for a grant donation of $100 towards the Debbie Memorial Highland Dance Competition taking place at the DeCoste Performing Arts Centre. The second recommendation, Council approved the request received from U13 AAA Fundy Highland Stars for a grant donation of $100 towards the 2026 U13 AAA Female Hockey Nova Scotia Provincials taking place at the Pictou County Wellness Centre.
Okay, thanks very much. We will look for a motion. We can roll those together.
Yep.
And look
So
for a
moved.
motion to approve the recommendation.
I'll second that.
When they have tournaments, it's hard sometimes to know when you're going to need a donation or not. But to those groups out there, would you let them know what the process is?
So at the beginning of every calendar year, usually mid-January, there is a call for applications towards the town's grant process. And that usually closes the end of February. Council will deliberate on those applications prior to budget, and they're usually approved by the end of March. There is only a small budgetary balance that is used towards those grant applications. So knowing if you are going to need funds from the town throughout the year to apply for that, because once that those funds are used, there's no more funding available for groups when they reach out throughout the year past that deadline. So it is really important to reach out as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much for that clarification. That's helpful. If there's no, so we have a motion on the floor, first and seconded. Any conversation, any questions, discussion around the recommendations? Okay, looking for a vote to approve.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. We will now move to item 8, open forum to the gallery.
Woo.
Just want to take a moment to make the citizens of the town of Stellarton aware of a feat that we had this weekend. Just wanted to congratulate Susan Campbell, our counselor, on 51 years of service with the former Ladies Auxiliary. Unfortunately, the auxiliary had to disband at the end of December. We acknowledged Susan at the annual banquet held Saturday night, but just wanted to make the citizens aware and congratulate her once again. And I'm sure that
Congratulations.
people in the great town of Stellarton are more than thankful for having her on the Ladies Auxiliary for a large number of years. So thank you, Susan.
Thanks very much, Chief, for bringing that forward.
Yes.
Clearly a mathematical error, because I'm pretty sure she's like 49, but anyway, it's a long length of service. 51 years. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay. Listen, if you didn't, one of us were going to, so thanks for that, Chief.
No speech.
Yes, speech, that's right. You've got a microphone. Push that button. Okay, no speech. Don't see anybody else stepping up on the floor, so it looks like that'll close the open forum. And our next council, item 9, meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 9th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you. We're adjourned.